They say that all roads lead to Rome, but is that true and can it be proven? The following brief history is meant to support the biblical claim that Rome would eventually dominate the entire world prior to her destruction at Christ's return. See Daniel 7. In this presentation, I will be offering substantial proof that the Roman Catholic Jesuit order is Rome's vassal for world domination, and that this covert political rule by Rome will lead into the Great Tribulation and the worldwide persecution of the saints by the Antichrist. So what do you think? Who would you say runs the world's political system? Is it the bankers, the top 1% richest men on the globe? Perhaps it's the Bilderbergers, the Illuminati, or Freemasons. If you're like me and you spent a considerable amount of time researching the subject, then no doubt you've come to understand that all roads do in fact wind their way back to Rome, and that the Vatican sits at the very top of the world's political pyramid. You probably also realize that secret societies, such as the Illuminati and Freemasons, are mere front organizations or gatekeepers controlled at their highest levels by the Jesuits, and that this can be verified from history. So you might be wondering, who are these Jesuits? You see, the Vatican has its very own secret intelligence agency that carries out its global agenda with great precision. This agency is known as the Society of Jesus, or the Jesuit Order. Believe it or not, the Roman Catholic Jesuits are the most powerful organization in the world and have come to control almost every sector of global government in the course of 500 years. So it's time we became familiar with the background and activities of the Jesuits and what marks them as the most formidable political force in world history. So here's a brief history of the Roman Catholic Jesuits and how they came to exist. In 1517, when Martin Luther tacked his 95 Theses to the door of the Wittenberg Church in Germany, he officially sparked what is now known as the Protestant Reformation. As the Reformation spread across Europe, the Roman Catholic Church suffered a severe political blow. Much of Europe became Protestant, and the popes were stripped of almost all of their power and influence. But this political setback was short-lived, because just as Protestants were gaining momentum in Europe, a formidable foe arose to oppose them, the Jesuits. Known as the Society of Jesus, the Jesuit order was founded in 1534 by Ignatius of Loyola. Its sole objective was to restore complete political power to the papacy. Later, they would seek to gain control not only over Europe but the rest of the world also. With their vows of loyalty to the Pope and their strict military-style training, the Jesuits were feared across Europe as the stormtroopers of the Roman Catholic Church. They led armies which recaptured large areas for the Catholic Vatican. Their single purpose was to destroy Protestantism by any means necessary. As a result, the Jesuits launched what would later be known as the Counter-Reformation, which brought terror and fear to many Protestant communities across Europe, who fell victim to their frequent persecution and torture. Along with their military actions, the Jesuits became involved in education and missionary expansion, and by the end of Loyola's life in 1556, there were Jesuits in Japan, Brazil, Ethiopia, and most parts of Europe. Many of the explorers of that period were accompanied by Jesuit priests, eager to bring Catholicism to new lands. Since the 1500s, the Jesuits have aggressively worked to infiltrate nearly every institution of higher education, major posts of government around the globe, and powerful business organizations in a bid to promote the Pope to total world rule. The following are some pertinent quotes from credible sources demonstrating the power and cunning craft of the Jesuit order. This war, the American Civil War, would never have been possible without the sinister influence of the Jesuits. We owe it to Popery that we now see our land reddened with the blood of her noblest sons. I pity the priests, the bishops, and the monks of Rome in the United States when the people realize that they are in great part responsible for the tears and the bloodshed in this war. 50 years in the Church of Rome, Abraham Lincoln, in his letter to Charles Shinneke, pages 296 through 297. It is my opinion that if the liberties of this country, the United States of America, are destroyed, it will be by the subtlety of the Roman Catholic Jesuit priests, for they are the most crafty, dangerous enemies to civil and religious liberty. They have instigated most of the wars of Europe. Marquis de Lafayette, 1757 through 1834, French statesman and general, who served in the American Continental Army under the command of General George Washington during the American Revolutionary War. My history of the Jesuits is not eloquently written, but it is supported by unquestionable authorities and is very particular and very horrible. There, the Jesuit order's restoration in 1814 is indeed a step toward darkness, cruelty, despotism, and death. I do not like the appearance of the Jesuits. If ever there was a body of men who merited eternal damnation on earth and in hell, it is this Society of Ignatius de Loyola. John Adams, second President of the United States. The Jesuits are a secret society, a sort of Masonic order with super-added features of revolting odiousness and 1,000 times more dangerous. Samuel Morse, American inventor of the telegraph, author of the book Foreign Conspiracy Against the Liberties of the United States. The public is practically unaware of the overwhelming responsibility carried by the Vatican and its Jesuits in the starting of the two world wars, a situation which may be explained in part by the gigantic finances at the disposition of the Vatican and its Jesuits, giving them power in so many spheres, especially since the last conflict. Edmund Paris, author of the book The Secret History of the Jesuits. The Jesuits are the deadly enemies of civil and religious liberty. R.W. Thompson, ex-secretary, American Navy. The Jesuits are a military organization, not a religious order. Their chief is a general of an army, not the mere father abbot of a monastery. And the aim of this organization is power. Power in its most despotic exercise, absolute power, universal power, power to control the world by the volition of a single man, i.e., the Black Pope, the superior general of the Jesuits. Jesuitism is the most absolute of despotisms, and at the same time the greatest and most enormous of abuses. Napoleon Bonaparte, Emperor of France. The Jesuits are simply the Romish army for the earthly sovereignty of the world in the future, with the Pontiff of Rome for emperor. That's their ideal. It is simple lust of power, of filthy earthly gain, of domination, something like a universal serfdom with them, the Jesuits, as masters. That's all they stand for. They don't even believe in God, perhaps. Fyodor Dostoevsky, famous Russian novelist. The Society of Jesus, i.e. the Jesuit order, is the enemy of man. The whole human race should unite for its overthrow, for there is no alternative between its total extirpation and the absolute corruption and degradation of mankind. Robert Jefferson Breckinridge, who was both a politician and Presbyterian minister. If you trace up Masonry through all of its orders till you come to the grand tip-top head Mason of the world, you will discover that the dread individual and the chief of the Society of Jesus, i.e. the superior general of the Jesuit order, are one and the same person. James Pardon, American historian. The Roman Inquisition has been administered since 1542 by the Jesuits. F. Tupper Saucy, author of the book Rulers of Evil. Alas, I knew they, i.e. the Jesuits, would poison me, but I did not expect to die in so slow and cruel a manner. Pope Clement XIV, who was responsible for abolishing the Jesuit order in 1773. In Roman Catholic circles, it is well known that the Black Pope is the term used for the superior general of the Jesuits. As the Pope is always robed in white, and the Jesuit superior general in black, the contrast is obvious. But those Romanists who do not greatly love the Jesuits, and their number is not limited, use the term as indicating that the Black Pope rules the White Pope, even while the former, i.e. the Black Pope, is obligated to make at least a show of submission to the latter. The Jesuits are the only religious order in the Church of Rome which has lain under the ban of the White Pope, or which has been expelled from any country because of its interference in politics. Hence we may expect to find that to obtain political power forms a main feature in the plans of the Society of Jesus, i.e. the Jesuit order. M.F. Cusack, 1896. The Jesuit superior general is at the head of this black and mute militia, which thinks, wills, acts, obeys, as the passive instrument of his designs. Their whole life must have but one aim, the advancement of the Jesuit order to which they are attached. Jeremiah J. Crowley, ex-priest in the Roman Catholic Church and author of the book Romanism, Menace to the Nation, 1912. Never before in the course of the world's history had such a society, i.e. the Jesuit order, appeared. The old Roman Senate itself did not lay schemes for world domination with greater certainty of success. Friedrich von Hardenberg, German philosopher, 1800. The organization of the Roman Catholic hierarchy is a complete military despotism, of which the Pope is the ostensible, i.e. apparent, seeming head, but of which the Black Pope, the superior general of the Jesuits, is the real head. The Black Pope is the head of the order of the Jesuits and is called a general, i.e. the superior general. He not only has command of his own order, but also directs and controls the general policy of the Roman Catholic Church. He, the Black Pope, is the power behind the throne and is the real potential head of the hierarchy. The whole machine is under the strictest rules of military discipline. The whole thought and will of this machine, to plan, purpose, and execute is found in its head. There is no independence of thought or of action in its subordinate parts. Implicit and unquestioning obedience to the orders of superiors in authority is the sworn duty of the priesthood of every grade. Brigadier General Thomas M. Harris. Above all, I have learned from the Jesuits, and so did Lenin too. As far as I recall, the world has never known anything quite so splendid as the hierarchical structure of the Roman Catholic Church. There were quite a few things I simply appropriated from the Jesuits for the use of the Nazi Party. In Himmler, I see our Ignatius de Loyola, Adolf Hitler, Nazi leader and Chancellor of Germany from 1933 through 1945, Mein Kampf. Now, in case you didn't realize it, Mein Kampf was actually written by the Roman Catholic priest Bernhard Stempfli and signed by Hitler. The presence of the Jesuits in any country, Romanist or Protestant, is likely to breed social disturbance. Lord Palmerston. The Nazi propaganda minister Joseph Goebbels had been a student of Jesuits, and Heinrich Himmler was impressed by the order's organizational structure. Hitler wrote favorably of their influence on architecture and on himself in Mein Kampf. The Third Reich is the first world power which not only acknowledges but also puts into practice the high principles of the papacy. Robert de Harcourt of the French Academy, October 1946. The Führer had come to power thanks to the votes of the Catholic Zentrum, center party overseen by Jesuit Ludwig Cass, for it was the Society of Jesus which perfected the famous Pan-German program as laid out in this book, and the Führer endorsed it. Edmond Paris, 1965, French historian and author of The Secret History of the Jesuits. Now, what about the Illuminati and Freemasonry? Aren't they the real puppet masters behind world governments? Actually, no. You might be surprised to discover that the founder of the Illuminati, Adam Weishaupt, was raised Roman Catholic after his Jewish parents converted to the Catholic faith and was then educated by the Jesuits throughout his life. He later infiltrated Freemasonry and recruited from their ranks to form the Illuminati secret society. Notice these quotes by Wikipedia. Adam Weishaupt was born on February 6, 1748, in Ingolstadt, in the Electorate of Bavaria. Weishaupt began his formal education at age 7 at a Jesuit school. He later enrolled at the University of Ingolstadt and graduated in 1768 at age 20 with a doctorate of law. Wikipedia. Now, by the way, the University of Ingolstadt was fully controlled by the Jesuits in the 17th century, and this fact can easily be verified by Wikipedia also. But I want you to notice the linkage between the Illuminati and Freemasonry, which was developed by Weishaupt during his lifetime, because this will help us connect both the Illuminati and Freemasonry back to the Jesuits. So here's another excerpt from Wikipedia. Weishaupt was initiated into the Masonic Lodge at Munich in 1777. He used Freemasonry to recruit for his own quasi-Masonic society, the Illuminati. So there you have it, friends. That's how the Jesuits have come to form the Illuminati as a scapegoat or blame man for their own clandestine operations. And then through their secret agent Weishaupt, they managed to infiltrate Freemasonry so that it too could serve their own aims. Now at this point, it should be obvious that the Jesuits are masterminds at infiltrating and controlling organizations that they wish to use to forward their cause. This may also help you understand the intricate intelligence network perfected by the Jesuit order over many centuries. And in case you doubt that the Jesuits continue to exist as the Vatican's secret intelligence network, notice this interview with former CIA officer Everett Howard Hunt.
And I wouldn't presume to trace the lines of authority within the Catholic Church, how they get their information, but they do. And we've always said, in an admiring way, that the Jesuits form the greatest intelligence service in the world, always have. The Jesuits form the greatest intelligence service in the world, always have.
Now, why is all this information so important? You see, without understanding the role of the Catholic Jesuits, we will miss the significance of papal Rome and Bible prophecy. And we will also miss the importance of the new Pope currently presiding over the Catholic Church, namely Pope Francis. Because Pope Francis is not only the very first Jesuit Pope ever, but he is also the most globally active Pope in history. His fast-spreading ecumenical agenda is setting the stage for the wholesale fulfillment of Bible prophecy. So friends, it's time we wised up to Rome's modern-day role in prophecy and began to prepare both spiritually and physically for the changes to come. I pray that if you don't know Jesus Christ in a personal and intimate way, you will begin to take refuge in His provisions for salvation and redemption before it's too late. Don't wait till the final judgment plagues are upon us. Receive Jesus now.